She was 22 when she slept on the floor of a tiny apartment with a broken heater and a laptop older than her dreams. Everyone around her said Silicon Valley is not for girls like you. No money, no connections, no support. But one late night with shaking hands and tired eyes, she made a decision that would change her life forever. This is not a fairy tale. This is the true style journey of a young woman who turned rejection into code, failure into fuel, and silence into success. Stay till the end, because her rise will make you believe that even the impossible listens to those who refuse to quit. Her name was Emily Carter. She was born in a small town in Oregon where life moved slowly and dreams were supposed to stay realistic. Her father worked long hours as a warehouse supervisor, and her mother managed the house while doing part-time work to support the family. Emily was always curious. She did not play with dolls the way other girls did. She liked opening old radios, broken phones, and anything that had wires inside. She wanted to know how things worked. When Emily was 16, her father lost his job. That moment changed everything. The house became quieter, bills piled up, and stress filled every corner. Emily started working after school at a local grocery store. She would come home late, tired, but still sit with her old laptop trying to learn programming from free videos online. The screen often froze, but her determination never did. She was the first in her family to dream of working in tech, not just tech, but Silicon Valley, the place she had only seen in documentaries and movies. People around her laughed when she talked about it. Teachers suggested safer careers. Friends told her to stay local. But Emily felt something inside her pulling her forward. After finishing high school, she got accepted into a small state college. Her parents were proud, but worried money was tight. Emily took student loans and worked 2 jobs while studying computer science. Her days started before sunrise and ended past midnight. Many times she cried silently in her dorm room, wondering if all this struggle was worth it. In her second year, she faced her first major failure. She failed an important programming course. It shattered her confidence. She thought maybe everyone was right, maybe she was not smart enough, maybe Silicon Valley was just a dream meant for someone else. But one night, while scrolling through success stories, she realized something: every successful person had failed badly before winning. That night, she promised herself one thing: she would not quit. She started again from zero, relearning concepts, practicing daily, writing code for hours. Even when her head hurt, she stopped comparing herself to others and focused only on progress, small progress, but daily. At 21, she graduated with average grades, no big internships, no strong references, just skills and hunger. But she had something more powerful than a resume. She had resilience. Emily packed her bags, borrowed some money, and moved to Silicon Valley. The city did not welcome her with open arms. Rent was insane, jobs were competitive, and rejection emails became part of her daily routine. She lived in a shared apartment with strangers, slept on a mattress on the floor, and survived on cheap food. She applied to over 200 tech jobs. Most companies never replied, some rejected her within minutes. Interviews were tough. She felt invisible in rooms full of confident candidates from top universities. But every rejection taught her something. She improved her coding skills, built small projects, worked on open source, learned day and night. One evening at a free tech meetup, she met a startup founder who noticed her passion. He did not promise a job, he just said, "Keep going." Those 2 words stayed with her. Emily kept going even when her body wanted to stop. Every morning she woke before sunrise, checked her inbox, and prepared herself for disappointment. Some days there were 5 rejections waiting, other days there was silence, which felt even worse. But she forced herself into a routine. She coded every day, no excuses. She treated learning like a job, because one day she wanted a real one. Her small apartment was noisy and crowded, but she learned to focus with headphones on. She practiced algorithms late at night, watched lectures during lunch breaks, and rewrote her old projects to make them better. She started uploading her work online, not because she was confident, but because she wanted to be seen. Weeks turned into months. Money started running out. Fear followed her everywhere. She calculated rent, food, and transportation again and again. There were nights when she skipped dinner to save cash. There were mornings when she questioned why she ever left home. But each time she felt like giving up. She remembered the girl who studied on a frozen laptop, and she refused to betray her. One afternoon, she received an email from a small startup asking her to come for an interview. It was unpaid internship level work, but she did not care. She prepared like it was the biggest opportunity of her life. She practiced answers, spoke in front of the mirror, and reviewed her projects again and again. The interview room was small, the founder looked tired, and the office was messy, but for Emily it felt like a palace. They asked her simple questions, then complex ones. She did not know everything, but she was honest. She explained her thinking, showed her code, and talked about how she learned things on her own. 2 days later, she got the message. They offered her a 3-month internship, no salary, but experience. She accepted immediately. That internship changed her life. The work was intense. She made mistakes almost daily. Her code broke systems once, and she cried in the bathroom. But instead of firing her, they taught her, they corrected her, showed her better ways, and slowly she improved. She stayed late every day, even when no one asked. She wanted to prove that she deserved to be there. By the second month, she was contributing real features. Her confidence grew quietly, not loudly. At the end of the internship, the founder called her in and told her they could not afford to hire her full-time, but he wrote her a strong recommendation and introduced her to people in his network. For the first time, Silicon Valley felt less cold. With that recommendation, doors started opening slowly. She got interviews at better companies. She failed some, passed a few, and finally landed a junior developer role at a mid-sized tech firm. The salary was modest, but for Emily it felt like winning the lottery. She moved into a slightly better apartment, bought her parents a small gift, and slept peacefully for the first time in years. But success did not make life easy overnight. At work, she was often the only young woman in the room. She had to work twice as hard to be heard. Some colleagues doubted her abilities, some ignored her ideas until someone else repeated them. Instead of getting bitter, she got better. She documented everything, spoke clearly, and let her results talk. Over time, people noticed. Her manager trusted her with bigger responsibilities. Her code reviews got praise. Her confidence became steady. Late nights turned into early promotions. She learned system design, leadership, and communication. She stopped being just a coder and started becoming an engineer. One evening, she stood outside her office looking at the city lights and realized something. She had made it further than she ever imagined, but she was not done. She promised herself she would rise, not just for success, but to prove that background does not decide destiny. Emily thought getting a job meant the struggle was over, but the truth revealed itself slowly. Success did not erase pressure, it only changed its shape. Expectations grew, deadlines tightened, and mistakes now had real consequences. She felt the weight of responsibility every time she opened her laptop. Her team started trusting her with important modules. She worked hard, but inside she was scared of slipping. One wrong decision could undo years of effort. She started doubting herself again, not because she lacked skill, but because she finally had something to lose. One project became the turning point. The company was racing to launch a new product. Investors were watching. Timelines were brutal and stress-filled. The year Emily was assigned a core component, something she had never handled at this scale. She spent nights studying architecture diagrams and days fixing bugs that kept multiplying. Halfway through development, a major flaw appeared. Her design caused performance issues. Under load, the product slowed down, and the team panicked. Meetings became tense, voices rose, fingers pointed. Emily felt her chest tighten. She knew the flaw came from her decisions. She could stay silent and hope someone else fixed it, or she could speak up. She chose honesty. In a room full of senior engineers, she admitted the mistake. Her voice shook, but her words were clear. She explained the issue, proposed a fix, and volunteered to lead the correction. The room went quiet, then her manager nodded. That moment changed how people saw her. The fix was not easy. It required long hours, collaboration, and painful rewrites. Emily led the effort. She listened, learned, and adjusted. She asked for help without shame and gave credit freely. When the product finally launched, it worked flawlessly. The client was satisfied, and leadership praised the team publicly. Her manager recognized Emily for stepping up. For the first time, she felt something deeper than relief. She felt respected. But life tested her again. Months later, the company announced restructuring. Teams were cut, and uncertainty returned. Emily watched friends pack their desks. Fear crept back in. One evening, she received an email. Her position was safe, but she was being moved to a new team with a new manager. The role was bigger, with more responsibility and higher expectations. She almost said no. Then she remembered every moment she had survived. She accepted. The new team focused on innovation, fast experiments, and leadership. Emily struggled at first. Managing people was different than managing code. She made communication mistakes, misread emotions, and felt overwhelmed. Instead of quitting, she learned. She read books, sought mentors, and asked for feedback. She apologized when wrong and improved quickly. Slowly, her team started performing. Her calm approach under pressure set the tone. Her empathy built trust. She realized leadership was not about control, but clarity. A year later, she was promoted to lead engineer. The girl who once slept on the floor now guided projects worth millions. One night, she called her parents. Her mother cried. Her father stayed silent for a moment, then said, "We always believed in you." Emily looked out at the Silicon Valley skyline. She felt proud, but grounded. She knew success was not a destination, it was a responsibility. She decided her journey would mean something more. She began mentoring young women, sharing her story, not as inspiration, but as proof that ordinary beginnings can lead to extraordinary outcomes. And somewhere a young girl listened and started believing. Emily reached a stage where her name carried weight. Meetings paused when she spoke. Decisions followed her recommendations, and younger engineers looked to her for guidance. From the outside, it looked like she had everything: a respected role, financial stability, and a future secured in the heart of Silicon Valley. But inside, a quiet conflict grew. The pressure of leadership never slept. Emails came at midnight, problems followed her home, and responsibility sat heavy on her chest. She smiled in meetings, but lay awake at night questioning if this life was what she truly wanted. She had achieved the dream she once begged for, yet something felt incomplete. As her career advanced, offers started arriving from bigger companies, higher salaries, stock options, and impressive titles. Every offer looked like the final level of success. But with each one, she felt more distant from the girl who coded on a broken laptop. One day, during a conference, she met a young woman who reminded her of herself. Nervous voice, bright eyes, and fear hidden behind determination. The girl asked Emily a simple question: "How did you survive when everyone doubted you?" Emily could not answer immediately. That night, she reflected deeply. She realized her true strength was never just technical skill, it was resilience, honesty, and the courage to keep going when nothing made sense. Soon after she started something new, she launched a small mentorship program on weekends, teaching coding basics to underrepresented girls. She did it quietly, without announcements or cameras, just genuine effort. The program grew faster than expected. More students joined. Stories poured in. Girls who never imagined a future in tech now believed they belonged. At work, Emily faced another challenge. The company wanted to move fast, cutting corners to beat competitors. Emily disagreed. She spoke up again, choosing values over comfort. The decision cost her popularity, but earned long-term respect. Leadership noticed her integrity. They offered her a director-level role with influence beyond code, strategy, ethics, and culture. Accepting meant more stress, more visibility, and more responsibility, but it also meant shaping the future. She accepted. In this role, Emily made bold choices. She hired for potential, not just resumes. She built diverse teams and encouraged open dialogue. Some decisions failed, others succeeded massively, but through it all, she stayed transparent. Criticism came online and offline. Some said she was too idealistic, others said she was changing the system too slowly. Emily listened, learned, and kept moving. Years passed and her impact spread beyond products and profits. She shaped people, careers, and confidence. One evening, after a long day, she returned home, opened her laptop, and saw an email from a former student now working as an engineer. The message ended with, "Thank you for not giving up." Emily closed the laptop with tears in her eyes. She realized legacy is not built by titles, but by lives touched. Emily stood on a quiet balcony as the city lights stretched endlessly before her. Silicon Valley no longer felt intimidating, it felt familiar, almost personal. The same streets that once rejected her now carried her footsteps with confidence and calm. Years had passed since she arrived with nothing but fear and hope. Her life looked completely different now, but she never forgot the nights of hunger, the sting of rejection, or the loneliness that almost broke her. Those memories kept her grounded. Her mentorship program had grown into a foundation partnering with schools and community centers across the country. Young women learned to code because someone believed in them. Emily visited these places not as a celebrity, but as proof. She sat on the floor, listened to fears, and shared her failures more than her wins. During a major tech summit, she was invited to speak on stage. She looked at thousands of faces. She did not talk about success metrics or innovation trends. She told them about the girl who almost quit, about unpaid internships and silent tears. She told them that talent exists everywhere, but opportunity does not. The room went silent, then applause followed, not loud but deep. Later that year, she made a choice that surprised many. She stepped away from her corporate role not to escape, but to focus fully on building pathways for others. Investors questioned it, friends warned her, but Emily felt peace. Her organization expanded globally. Scholarships, training, and real job placements followed. She worked harder than ever, but this time the work felt meaningful. One afternoon, she received a letter handwritten from her father. He wrote, "We used to worry about your future, now we tell everyone you are changing the future." Emily smiled. She returned to Silicon Valley one last time for a quiet walk past the buildings where she once felt invisible. She realized success was never about proving others wrong, it was about becoming who she needed when she was lost. As the sun set, she whispered a promise to herself. She would keep opening doors until no one had to beg for a chance. Her story did not end with wealth or fame, it ended with purpose. And somewhere right now, someone watching this story feels a spark. That spark is the beginning. Because if a young woman with no connections, no money, and endless doubt can rise, then so can you.